can you see the title page in front of you? Excellent. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's always nice to be the one that kicks it off. So here at Cambridge, you may remember last year that we ran a project where we employed student engagement coaches to work with demotivated, disengaged, and often maths anxious students. This was extremely successful, with 81% of students saying that they went from feeling stressed or worried to feeling hopeful or excited about maths. From the individual learners that we supported in class, 94% of those said that having a coach present in their lessons made them feel much more comfortable. And so we knew we had something special, but what we wanted to do this year was to drill down and find out exactly what it was that coaches do that has such a positive impact. And we decided to focus on the construction and motor vehicle department, hence the boots, because its students had the lowest attendance and the lowest attainment across the college, and something I know that seems to be a common theme across most FE colleges, regardless of your location. So what did we focus on this year? I'll give you a chance to have a little bit of a look, but many of these we'll discuss as we go through this presentation. But I thought it was really important to highlight the three main focal points of our project this year. So as you can see, one of the first differences was that we wanted to explore the impact of teacher and coach partnerships. And this involved teachers and coaches working collaboratively to plan, implement, and reflect on maths sessions together. And we had 4 partnerships this year, which ran across most of the year. So this was the team. Fareed worked primarily with Sarah, with a little bit of Georgie filling in the gaps. Laura and Tracy are part of the Bedford College group, and at their Tresham site in Corby, they worked together, and myself and Georgie. So another element to the coaching was making sure the classroom environments helped learners to have a positive mindset. We've noticed that learners are very much in an adult mindset when they're in a vocational area, such as these, but where the environment is linked to a workspace, if you like. But when they go back into a maths classroom, they tend to revert back into that child mindset where they behave very much like they did at school. And this was a quote from a learner prior to us setting the room up in September, which is quite typical. You can tell it's a maths classroom. I mean, look at the primary school plastic chairs. So we tried to create a more adult learning environment within college constraints. So we used furniture that we could source on site. And as you can see from the pictures, we chose to use round tables and office chairs. One, because they were more adult looking, but two, it really encouraged collaborative working. And it made it really easy for staff to pull up a chair and either teach or coach a number of students at once. And also for students to be more open about their work and support each other. I'm not sure you can see from these pictures, but the teacher's desk is the same size and shape as the learners, as is the chair, because this was really important in reducing barriers and that sort of hierarchy, putting us on much more of an even level. Another way we ensured that learners were in a positive mindset was to create posters which were non-maths related and encourage learners to reflect on their state of mind when they entered a maths session. Some of these were based on research findings and others were based more on independent findings from both learners and staff. And these two on the bottom right here from Porsche and Aston Martin garages, we actually put out questionnaires into different workplaces, asking employees about their maths journey and how they felt about maths. And we took quotes from them to put on posters. And these have been quite successful with our motor vehicle students. So we've found coaching to be very multifaceted, and therefore it can be sometimes very difficult to map out the process and explain what we do. This is a very simplified version of our approach, which follows 4 simple steps. And we'll attempt to break it down on the following slide, but really we'll need to discuss the strategies employed at each stage more in the report. But it's important to note that the journey is not always linear, and it really is a case of 1 step forward and 2 back sometimes. And I think one thing we learned this year was never be frightened to go right back to the beginning. You know, something goes wrong, you lose a bit of trust with the learner, you go right back to the beginning and start again. So as I said, this is it broken down a little bit more, and we'll discuss it more in the report. But these are the strategies that we feel have been most effective at each stage of engaging our learners. Some of these strategies might not be instantly recognisable to you because they're based on the psychological theory that we've been researching throughout the year. So things like your graded exposure and box breathing and things, but we will reflect more on that in the report. To get some quantitative data, we used pre and post intervention questionnaires to understand not only how the learners felt about maths, but also to sort of get that end result really and see if there was still work to be done. So these were some of our findings, and as you can see, they're really positive. For me, the interesting bit is this 68%. And it says that even at the end of the year, and although that has significantly increased across the year, because we did a pre-questionnaire, still only 68% at the end of the year felt comfortable asking their maths teacher for help in class. But really interestingly, 88% felt comfortable asking the coach. So still a little bit of work to do on that one, I think. However, it hasn't all been sunshine and roses, as they say. As has been discussed nationally, student behaviour has been uniquely challenging this year post-lockdown. In addition, many are lacking the skills that they normally develop in their last year at school, both emotionally and socially. For example, it shows in classroom relationships, a lack of autonomy and boundaries. Other challenges were more logistical, such as classes shared with non-project staff and timetabling constraints. And something else we realised was that some learners took longer to build relationships with and therefore were slower to take up offers of more intensive support that they really needed early on. So bear with me a little bit, but I'm going to show a number of video clips. We felt it was really important for you to not only hear from one of our students, but also the musings of the staff involved in this year's project.
100%. Didn't have a problem with it. If I needed help, I'd ask and I know I'd have got it. Definitely, 100%.
So you didn't worry about asking in front of other people?
No, I didn't.
No.
The group was very, the chemistry was very good. Like everybody knew everybody. It was more to do with like the relationship between, say, me, Julie, me and Georgie. It felt like I could say anything to somebody. Can't say it now.
Confidently?
Speak to them about anything and it'd be fine. You wouldn't get judged for getting something wrong. You could try it by yourself and get it wrong, they'll come over, tell you a way to do it, give you a tactic or a little cheap way, as they call it, of doing it, and then if you get it wrong again, they'll just keep doing it over and over again without getting annoyed. That helps a lot. That I can come in and, like, I don't know, so if I do have a really big problem at home, you would understand that because you kind of know the reasons and stuff like that, and that's how I would come in here knowing that it's good to come and learn. Like, if you come in here to learn, you can also have a little chit chat, a bit of downtime, as well as learning, and that's how I learned so much this year.
Do you feel like that made you learn More or less?
More, 100% more, yeah. And that's why I'm so much more confident this year. Posters
Yeah.
are located everywhere.
What do you think about them?
They're amazing. They help so much. Yeah, every time I come in, the first thing I do is look right at the posters. It's so good. It's more to do with make sure you're confident. Don't, if you fail, try again. Stuff like that. Just don't give up. Don't give up. And
Do you like seeing them?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got one in my room now.
Have you?
Yeah, I do. I've got one in my room.
Oh, that's so sweet.
We're lucky enough to have some free time once a week that we met before the week started with us both in the class. So we would reflect on what had happened before and the teaching methods, and if there was anything I needed to share that I'd picked up as a coach in the class, I would then share with Laura that may have, and then plan together. She would say what she was going to do, and then we'd discuss any issues before, maybe change it if we needed to, or try a different approach. And then plan for the week that was ahead as well. So that I found that really useful, Laura. And like I said before, and that made me feel more confident going in, because we both knew what we were doing and we'd swapped ideas and information of what we'd picked up.
I found that the lessons became a lot more relaxed, because for me as a tutor, I'm not constantly worrying about trying to behave the management within the classroom, because Tracy was there on board to help out, like Farid said. But yeah, our classroom became we took the strictness away a little bit, and it became a very relaxed and comfortable environment. So the students, we would come in and we weren't afraid to have a little bit of a laugh with them, if that makes sense. So sometimes you're constantly thinking, oh no, I can't be funny, can't do this, can't do that, because we're here to teach. And I think some people forget that. And I just felt this one particular group, the rapport that we've built up, I'm really quite sad now, because today was the last time I'm going to see most of them. So I kept saying to them, make sure you see me on Monday morning, because I'm not going to see you again. So I was really quite sad to lose the group. But yeah, we had a laugh and a joke, and it just felt so relaxed. And a lot of students said they enjoyed coming because it was relaxed.
Enjoyable.
And it just encouraged them to come, where before they'd think, oh no, I'm just going to clear off at lunchtime, I'm not going to go to maths.
Yeah.
But they said they would come because they enjoyed coming.
How did you find having an extra body in the class?
Very, very useful.
Did you?
Very useful. I mean, it would have been an absolutely different lesson if I did not have the engagement coaches. I believe if the pass rate is going to be relatively good, it is definitely because of the engagement coaches.
Is that the teacher can focus more on the kind of learning and teaching, or teaching and learning, and perhaps the behaviour management in terms of, telling someone off if they've got their phone out, or, doing something that's really disruptive. Whereas the coach is able to support in a kind of more social, emotional type way, which I think in turn does help to manage behaviour better, because obviously you can kind of channel students' energy into having a conversation with you, or getting them involved with the maths, but it's like a holistic approach where you've still got the role of the teacher and you've still got the role as the coach, as two kind of separate things, but they come together and just create this kind of perfect environment, I think.
Getting at that, what about this sort of relationship? Because often in classrooms, I've seen, certainly in school where there's been teaching assistants, there's a power relationship going on between the teacher and the teaching assistant. Could you say, and if somebody doesn't know something, often there is a power relationship going on there. So could you say anything about that?
I would say it's an absolute partnership. I don't see that there's any sort of difference. We have a lot of respect for each other and what we.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, as in when I get stuck with the maths, I will ask Julie, and so that could be looked at as like Georgie, because Georgie doesn't know. And I understand that thought process, but I don't really think that it comes across that way in class. I think if anything, it makes the students feel less alone and that we're on their team rather than being against them. And it also shows, for some students, we found from the questionnaire at the beginning of the year, there are a minority of students who actually find it really difficult to ask the teacher for help, and it might be because they don't trust the teacher because of previous experiences, etc. But I think as well, that's something we do, is we kind of like model how to talk to a teacher, how to ask for help when we need it, because we need help as well.
Yeah,
See what I mean?
sometimes Fareed and I will spend a bit of time in the lesson chatting about, I often do the worksheets at the same time as the students.
Yeah.
And then we'll spend a bit of time chatting about perhaps the problem that I'm stuck on, or if I'm working with a student and I say, oh, I'm not sure about this one, and then I put my hand up and ask. In fact, I think I'm the only person in any of the lessons who puts their hand up. Because it's not a cool thing to do.
Yeah, they do.
Good thing, actually.
So, but then Fareed will come over and tell us all how to do it, and it's just it's really positive. And I think, because I have worked as a teaching assistant in a school as well, and I don't think that the maths teachers will take the time to explain to the teaching assistant in the school. I think that's actually the fact that the teacher is explaining to the coach as well, is because it's an equal relationship. And
Thank you for indulging me. I'm going to leave you with this quote. We've got many quotes from students this year, but we felt that this really summed up the ethos of what we've done. I'll give you a moment to have a read. So I think having someone believe that you will do well, and that even if you don't, it's the reassurance that everything will be okay. I had no stress going into the exam because I was already made to feel proud of myself for what I'd achieved from the help I received in my maths lessons. And that's one of our plumbing students. Thank you.